Most men talk themselves out of attraction without even realizing it. Not because of what they do necessarily, but because of what they say. One wrong sentence can flip a woman's desire into disgust instantly. And today, I'm going to break down the 10 things you should never, ever tell a woman when you're dating. And chances are you've already said at least one of them.
We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. Happy hump day, guys. How the heck are you? Man, Monday's episode did some numbers, baby. A lot of you really liked that interview with John Gray. If you missed it, check out that episode right after this. Today, we're going to be talking about 10 things to never say to a woman when you are dating, okay? These, even if you have good intention, often kill attraction right away. You think you're telling her what she wants to hear, but at a subconscious level, most of these will dry up her nether regions worse than the Sahara Desert. Now, before we get into it, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, this might be a short episode because I only got 10 things, but I might ramble on with some of these. And some of these you might have even heard of before. We shall see. But the first one, the number one thing that you should never, ever tell a woman is you are not seeing other women, okay? Never tell women when you're out dating that you are not seeing other women, even if you aren't, okay? Even if you aren't. Here's the thing, women's pre-selection says, it dictates to her that you are more attractive if other women like you, okay? It's like a sort of mental shortcut. She actually wants to know that other women like you, okay? And a lot of guys think, okay, I'm actually going to make her feel better if she doesn't think I'm seeing anyone else. And most of you guys aren't seeing anyone else. You're trying to lock down one girl at a time, right? And despite knowing this, I've had clients actually slip up and say, oh no, I'm not seeing anyone else, because their gut instinct tells them, hey, women don't want you seeing other people. They want you to be exclusive, right? But the thing is when you're dating, when you first meet a girl, especially, she doesn't expect you to be just exclusive with her because she's not just exclusive with you. You know what I mean? And she wants to get a hint of what kind of man are you? Are you a guy that other women like? Are you a guy that has options? Because that's attractive to her. She likes to know that, hey, this other girls like you. He must have something going on, right? Even most of the time, that's at a subconscious level. And women might even tell you, we're all the guys out there that aren't seeing a bunch of other women, right? They're all in that girl's friend zone. That's where those guys are. Okay. So even if you're not seeing other women, you saying, no, I'm not seeing anyone right now. What about you? Right? Like trying to lock a girl down, because most of you guys hate the dating circuit so much. You're trying to lock down every girl. That's turning her off at a subconscious level. She's like, oh, what a loser. What a loser. Other girls don't like this guy. What a loser. Right? And then now she all of a sudden doesn't like you either. Okay. So even if you are seeing other women, even if you aren't, always act as if you are. Okay. This is using women's competition anxiety and pre-selection to your advantage when you with or without other women in your life. Okay. So a better way to answer that sort of thing when a woman asks, hey, are you seeing anyone right now? you can just simply say, I always have room for one more, right? You're not lying. If you don't have any other women, you clearly have room for one more, right? But even if you are seeing other women, come on, we always have room for one more, right? Say it very playfully like that. Okay. That's more mode 2 communication. If you want to get into the 4 modes of communication that Alan Roger Curry came up with. Now, Alan Roger Curry was more direct, right? He was more of a mode 1 guy. That's why all of his book series is all mode 1. And he would just straight up say, yeah, I'm seeing other chicks, but that works too. Okay. Mode 1 and mode 2 communication both work, right? It's just a difference of being direct or indirect. And I typically like more of that subtle indirectness and letting women's imagination, use the women's imagination to your advantage. I prefer that, but other guys, they like the more direct route. You know what I mean? Anyway, they both work. Just whatever you're more comfortable with, just pick that. But whatever you do, do not ever tell her that you're not seeing any other women. Okay. By the way, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. Just want to make sure you guys get in here for that sort of thing. All right. Next thing is, don't tell her how much money you make. Don't tell her how much money you make. Right? Now, most guys are leading with this. Most guys have the paradigm that women only care about money. So they lead with what they do for a living. They'll put it in their bio. They'll put it in their dating bio. Hey, I'm an executive for a company. I make 6 figures a year, right? They want to lead with that because they think women only care about money. Well, the thing is, when you lead with that sort of information, you're only going to attract women that only care about you for your money. They will like that. They'll go, oh, wow, look, this guy makes a lot of money. Of course, I'll go out on a date with him. But most of those women won't develop an actual interest in you without that money. Okay. So you want to take that off the table at first and make her discover how much money you make. Okay. This is how you weed out gold diggers and you attract women with genuine desire. Okay. You get a girl that's invested in you, that likes you. And then, and even on dates, she'll still try to decipher how much money you make, because women do want to make sure that a guy is competent in life and gets his bills paid or whatever, but it's going to be less important to her when she's genuinely interested in you as a person. Okay, so what I always like to do, and what I tell guys in Wolfpack all the time, and a lot of the Wolfpack guys are on this, they are on top of this. It's something that I learned from one of my 3% brothers in the old 3% man group. Brother Jacob, and he's been on the podcast before too, but he came up with this concept of Batman game, right? Where a chick asks you, hey, what do you do for a living? You make it into this absurd story about how you're really Batman, So you'll tell her like, well, I'm a millionaire playboy by day, but I dress up as a bat and fight crime at night, And then most of the time women will take that as playful banter and they'll go, oh, I didn't realize I was on a date with Batman. You'll be like, you got to promise not to tell anybody, right? And now you're inviting her into this make-believe world where, she has to earn your trust. You know what I mean? It's a fun sort of role-playing thing and makes her immediately forget about trying to figure out how much money you make. And then, when she asks you, no, seriously, what do you do for a living? Be like, what I do is boring. I want to know more about you, right? You just never really tell her, and you always keep that mystery going. The funny thing is, the less you tell women, the more invested they get because they're trying to figure you out. I barely told Nurse Chick hardly anything about myself. She reached out to me like right after a first or second date and was like trying to be my Facebook friend, and I declined it. And then I messaged her and I said, hey, I'm not ready to be Facebook friends yet, or I can't remember exactly what I said, but something along those lines. And it was driving her nuts that I wouldn't be her Facebook friend. And she's told me this story before. She went to one of her sisters and she's like, I don't get it. He won't be my Facebook friend. I don't know what's going on with him. And it forced her to go down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out who Paul Bauer is, right? And she ended up finding my podcast. She started internet stalking me. She found my TikToks. It's a whole hilarious story, but all that investment made her like me more. You understand? There's a method to the madness here, guys. Quick question. There's a lot of you guys watching right now, but not a lot of you guys are talking in the comments. What's something you think men should never tell a woman when dating? Okay. You guys, especially you guys that are out there spinning plates right now and things that you've picked up along the way. What's something you think you should never tell a woman when dating? Let me know in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments. Okay. The next thing that I have here on what to never tell a woman, comes from the 9 Iron Rules of Rollo Tomassi. If you guys haven't read the Rational Male book series, treat yourself, okay? The guy is a goddamn genius, all right? Well, he came up with the 9 Iron Rules. And Iron Rule of Tomassi number 2 is one that most people don't quote a lot. Most people don't quote Iron Rule of Tomassi number 2 a lot. Iron Rule of Tomassi number 2 says never, under pain of death, honestly or dishonestly, reveal the number of women you've slept with or explain any detail of your sexual experiences with them to a current lover. Okay. Which is fascinating, right? Because I just did a whole episode last week on body count, because that's everyone's favorite subject is body count. But one of the things that Rollo advocates for is men not disclosing their body count either, right? He goes on to say the single most disastrous AFC move a man can make is to overtly describe past sexual experiences and or give a number, accurate or not, to how many women he's been with prior to the one he's with. Okay. And AFC, if you guys are new to the space, AFC stands for average frustrated chump. Okay. That's your average guy out there that doesn't understand women. Women piss them off because they just don't understand women's nature. They're struggling on the dating circuit. Okay. This is 97% of guys out there. They're average frustrated chumps. Okay. Not to disparage those guys. It's just, they don't know what they don't know. And they haven't made the effort yet, at least, to learn this information. He says this simple act, whether you offered the information or she dragged it out of you, always comes off as pretentiousness and is often the catalyst for an avalanche of emotional resentment, if not outright emotional blackmail from an insecure woman. This is a rookie mistake that will only take you once to learn. Now, if you want to better understand this, put yourself in her shoes, okay? How would you feel if a woman overtly told you her body count number? And this was the point of last week's body count episode, which was you don't really want to know. You don't want to open up that can of worms. There's nothing but heartbreak and heartache there. You're going to obsess over it. You're going to be like, she gave herself all the best parts of herself to these other people, and she didn't save it all for me. A lot of women will feel the same way. Okay. Now, if you take what I talked about in the first thing, right? You are like, when women ask you if you're seeing other women, you can allude to being good with women. Okay. And women will actually find that attractive. They'll like that other women like you and stuff like that, but don't be so in her face about it. Okay. Let her hamster wheel do the work for you. Don't try to make the work happen. Otherwise, you're going to end up stepping on your own dick, okay? I can say that. We are past the 8-minute mark. And speaking of using women's imagination to your advantage, I just dropped last Friday the Passive Dread Blueprint course, which really goes into some of this dark psychology that gets women's hamster wheel going to your advantage. Let me play a quick commercial for that. She used to watch you, hang on your words, crave your presence. Now, she barely notices when you enter the room. And if she does, it's with eyes full of boredom. You've tried being softer. You've tried being sweeter. You've tried everything they said would work. And still nothing. The truth no one wants to say out loud, she doesn't miss you because there's nothing to miss. But what if you can make her feel the fear of losing you without saying a word? This isn't manipulation. It's psychological contrast. It's healthy anxiety. It's passive dread. Rebuild tension, reignite her curiosity, make her jealous of the life you're living without her at the center. You don't chase desire. You become the man it fears losing. Visit dread.fixdeadbedrooms.com now and take the course. Don't wait for her to act different. Take action for yourself. Indeed, dread.fixdeadbedrooms.com and use code DREAD20 at checkout to take 20% off. And that code is good until the end of the month, okay? But don't wait till the end of the month, guys. Don't wait till the end of the month, all right? A lot of you guys will hit me up afterwards. You've waited all month. I've given you 31 days. And then you'll be like, oh, is that code still good, bro? I was waiting until my next payday. Like, you didn't have 2 paydays this last month? Like, come on now. All right. Anyway, Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, good morning, gentlemen. Happy hump day. Nurse Chick, she gets this.
So naughty.
She is.
I'm going to come.
Oh, if she plays her cards right. And Jerry's in the house. What's up, brother? Good to see you. And Omega says, sup, Paul? Hey, what's up, Omega? How you doing, brother? And let's see here. Dar Fitness in the house. Always room for one more. Always. There's always room. Always. Nurse Chick had to work last night, right? She's once a week she has to work nights. And she's getting dinner ready so that, you know, it's all ready for me before she heads out, because she's that good of a woman, right? She makes sure that I'm taken care of before she goes out. And she's like, you know, is there anything else you need? And I was like, nah, don't worry about it. I'm going to call my couch bitches, which is sort of a inside joke that she and I have. And she's like, oh, you better not call them. And I was like, oh no, they're definitely coming over. They're definitely coming over. So anyway, Mega says, it's very rare that you'll get a woman who gets turned off by Batman game. Had it happen. Yeah, I've had it happen a couple times too, right? You'll find a couple of women out there that'll have sticks up their asses, and those chicks just aren't any fun. Who wants to be around anyone that has a stick up their ass, okay? And the same thing goes for you guys too. A lot of you guys are too fucking serious. You don't know how to have any fun. And when women are playful and joking, you guys get pissed off at them instead of having fun with them, okay? It's called game because it's supposed to be fun. All right. It's don't tell them you love them too early. Damn it. No spoilers, bro. Okay. Gents, what's happening this fine morning? Oh, we're learning games, CW. Welcome to the party, pal. Let's see here. All right. Alex Patino, what's you British cigarettes? Vatos Locos. Yeah, Vatos Locos forever, essay. And then Kamal says, exactly, walk through open doors makes life much easier. Absolutely, man. Hey, and Erkin's in the house. What's going on, Erkin? Good to see you, brother. All right. Moving on here. God damn you, Omega. You spoiled the next one. So Omega says, don't tell them you love them too early. So I mentioned one of Rollo's iron rules, right? Well, another prominent guy in the early red pill space was a guy named Royce, and he came up with his own. He has like Royce has like 1 million maxims too. I need to go through all those one of these episodes, but he also has a post called the 16 Commandments of Poon, and one of those is basically what Omega's talking about here, right? It's actually commandment number 1. Never say I love you first. Okay. So this is what Royce had to say about that. Women want to feel like they have to overcome obstacles to win a man's heart. They crave the challenge of capturing the interest of a man who has other women competing for his attention and eventually prevailing over his grudging reluctance to award his committed exclusivity. Right? He's basically talking about using Breitbart's law to your advantage. Okay. Women have to lock you down. I say it a lot. Puck, another prominent guy in the early red pill space, he said it very well. He said, a guy trying to push for a relationship is like a wild bird willingly flying into a cage. Okay. At a subconscious level, even if women say they want that, it turns them off, and they can't explain why. They don't know why. It's this animal instinct of theirs that comes through evolutionary biology and psychology, that it just turns them off. Okay. Well, the same thing goes with saying I love you first. Okay. They have to feel like they've won you over out of all of your other options. They have to feel that way. And if you do this kind of stuff, you're taking that away from them. Okay. They want to feel like they've won something. So don't take that away, man. Give that to them. Give them that gift. So Royce says, the man who gives his emotional world away too easily robs women of the satisfaction of earning his love. Though you may be in love with her, don't say it before she has said it. Show compassionate restraint for her need to struggle toward yin fulfillment. Inspire her to take the leap for you, and she'll return the favor 1,000-fold. Okay. Nurse Chick and I, she didn't say it. She didn't say it for over a year, but I could tell. She would do these little subtle things. And guys, if you would just pay attention a little bit, you would see these things too. Okay. Once you see the matrix, you can't unsee it. So it's much easy once you've studied this stuff and you've been out spinning plates and you actually know what to look for, you'll see all this kind of stuff. Well, I remember she and I were on a road trip one time. I think we were heading to Denver, and a love song came on the radio, and she just reached down when it was all talking about how a guy makes this woman feel and how in love with him she is. She reaches down and turns it up just a little bit. And when I saw her do that, I was like, I got her. I got you, woman. And, but she still didn't say it. I think she was really scared to say it. And I finally got it out of her about a year later, because I could tell. She was just, everything she was doing just screamed she was madly in love. And I just made her say it one day because I wasn't going to say it. Royce told me not to. God bless. Anyway. The next one I have here is never tell her anything bad or complain about your exes. It's very similar to kind of a Iron Rule of Tomassi number 2, where you're talking about past lovers and body count. It really doesn't help you in the sexual marketplace to be talking about your past girlfriends or wives or anything like that. It does you no good. It does nothing to boost attraction. And a lot of you guys out there are hurt and you're trauma dumping. You'll go on a date with a girl and you'll be like, oh, my ex is such a bitch and whatever. And she does all this kind of crap and she was a naggy, whatever. Anyway, women hear that negativity and it sort of tells them, I'm next. Right. And the same thing goes with guys. Have you ever been on a date with a girl who's bitching and complaining about her ex? You don't like her anymore. In fact, it turns you off, right? You're like, oh, what the hell is wrong with this chick, right? She sounds like a kind of a cunt, right? I don't know. I think if I said that word, I'd get demonetized on YouTube. So we don't want to say that word. Can't be adults on this fucking platform. Anyway, so don't say anything bad about your exes. In fact, it's best to just not even mention your exes at all, even if she asks, right? If she presses, like if you try to deflect and change the subject or whatever, if she presses, okay, you want to put a positive spin on it, right? You can be like, yeah, well, things didn't work out, but I learned a lot from that relationship. I would invite you guys to really look back on your past relationships, even if you absolutely detest your exes, and try to find something positive from that experience that you can focus on. Not even for this situation when you're dating, right? But just so that you're not living, just so that your ex isn't living rent-free in your head all the fucking time, okay? Because if you think about positive experiences from that, we tend to let positivity go, but we hold on to negativity. It's our brain's negativity bias that we're all programmed with. And so if you stop focusing on the negative aspects of that relationship and just focus on, you know what? I learned a lot from this. One of the things I say, if you ever tune into interviews, when people interview me and people ask me my Batman origin stories, I always talk about the blessings of my relationship with Red Pill Chick. right? I'm always like, yeah, one of the blessings from that is that she got me into audiobooks. Another blessing from that relationship is she got me into running, right? Because I wanted to lose weight and I wasn't really into running that much. I would go running maybe 1.5 miles at max, but I would never run longer than that because I hated running. Well, at that time, she was really into running and she was doing like 5Ks and 10K races and stuff like that. And she was trying to convince me to do 5 and 10K races. And I was like, I'll never do that. Never. Anyway, I finally let her talk me into doing a 5K race. And then I fell in love with running to the point where she got annoyed that I was better at running than her. And so, that was just her being a sort of a masculine, competitive type person. And, like a lot of these boss babes are. And then she stopped running because of that. Right. Well, that's her loss anyway. But I like to look at those types of blessings from past relationships. So if anyone presses me on past relationships, I can turn a negative into a positive. And then women are more comfortable to want to date you more if they know that you're not going to talk mad shit about them, right? Women are very sensitive to that sort of thing. By the way, guys, if you get value out of these episodes, do consider sending a super chat. Okay. That helps support this more than anything else. And then, just a reminder, Facebook demonetized me all month long because of a meme. And so super chats helps offset that a little bit. All right. The next one I have here is never bring up your future plans that involve her. Okay. Now, this is a big thing that kills men in the dating circuit is this concept that Christopher Canwell, he wrote a phenomenal book called Atomic Attraction. He refers to it as chronesthesia, mental time travel into the future, where men imagine a future with this girl that they just met. And they're already thinking about white picket fences and 2.5 kids and this whole life with this girl that they really haven't even gotten to know yet. Men do this all the time. They develop this attachment to outcome. And then when it doesn't work out, they're just emotionally crushed. Okay. And this is a big reason why guys are so sick of the dating circuit, is because they do this shit to themselves. Okay. Well, in NLP, we call that future pacing. If you are on a date with a girl and you start future pacing with her in a way that you're planning out future dates with her and future trips with her and all this kind of shit, a lot of the times it turns her off. It'll subconsciously turn her off that you're like, you just met her. Why are you making all these mental plans with her already? This is one of those reasons too that you never ask a girl out on a next date while you're on the current date, because it comes across to her as needy, just unattractive behavior. Right. And she's like, oh my God, does he not have any other options? He's already picturing a life with me. He just met me. Okay. This is like women's subconscious processing this. Okay. So never bring up future plans with her that you have. A caveat to this is you can do future pacing on her. Okay. This is a sort of an NLP technique to build really strong rapport. So if you paint a scenario where it's in her mind, okay, you're putting this in her mind of, okay, imagine this. I show up and I have 2 tickets to the Bahamas and you only have 3 hours to pack. What are you bringing? Okay. And then once we get to the Bahamas, what are we doing there? And you let her tell the story about the two of you in the Bahamas going on this spur of the moment trip. That's exciting, right? You let her develop this story in her head. That actually develops very fast rapport where she imagines a future with you. Okay. That's how you can use that sort of thing to your advantage, but you can't be doing that. You don't be doing that in your head. And most certainly if you are, don't bring it up to her because she's going to see that as needy, unattractive behavior. Okay. But if you make her do it, it creates investment in you. It's kind of a fascinating sort of mental hack that you can use with neuro-linguistic programming. Okay. Another thing that you should never do is never tell her your insecurities, right? Women have this knack of taking your insecurities and stabbing you in the fucking heart with it. Don't they? They love doing that. This is why women, we often say in the space when women say, I want you to open up to me. I want you to be vulnerable, right? And we're like, it's a fucking trap, dude. It's a fucking trap, because women will take that and stab you in the fucking heart with it, okay? And women really don't care about your struggles. They wait at the finish line and they bang the winners. And they may even think that they care. They may even want to care. They're just not evolutionarily wired to care about your struggles. And they're also not they're not wired to care about your insecurities. Okay. So if you bring up your struggles and you bring up your insecurities and you don't put a positive spin on the end of it, like I'm working on it, or I've got a plan for it, or whatever, and you just are just bearing your soul and your feelings to her, subconsciously, she's going to see that as weak, and that's going to turn her off. She's going to lose attraction for you. Okay. So don't be sharing your insecurities, even if you have them, right? Don't. She's got to feel like you're bulletproof, like you're a rock, like nothing bothers you. She's got to feel that way in order to feel safe and secure of even being with you, right? And so if you start talking about your insecurities and your struggles and all this type of stuff, she's like, oh God, this guy can't handle life. I don't feel safe and secure now. That's how women act, okay? By the way, if you do have some insecurities and things that you're struggling with and you want a place where you can talk about that stuff, join the Wolf Pack, man. The Wolf Pack, you bring that kind of shit to your boys, okay? You don't bring that kind of shit to your girls.
Beer club? Not anymore.
Wolf Pack, you fix what's broken. You lead like a man again. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just flame. Cold bed, broken home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in steel, not heaven. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
Alex Patino says, here's Aaron Clary's favorite word, quanta. I can see that being Clary's favorite word. I thought, let's see, what would I think his favorite word would be? God damn it. I don't know. That sounds more like Clary to me. Erkin sent 10 sex, which is, oh, God damn it. I can never remember this. It's Swedish kronas. 10 Swedish kronas. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to give him this one.
Respect the cock and tame the cunt.
God damn right. And then Alex Patillo says, so when are you in the States you offer to pay in sex? I pay you 10 sex. Urka says, well, when I send a super chat, YouTube automatically sends in my local currency. You don't have to dear, bro. You don't have to explain yourself. Just because you want to send sex to people, man. Like that's your thing. I don't know if there's not just another currency. You don't have to worry about that, man. Like the YouTube converts it on the back end. Alex says, I understand. It's just funny how it can be used as a pun. It is funny that way. And then Kamal says, it's Spanish cork currency time. Yes, Swedish krona. See, I remembered. Oh, and CW gave me that too sweet, brother. Guys, get in that wolf pack, baby, and give us all a too sweet in there. We got about 60 guys in there. Oh, that's right. This week, guys, is the monthly pod class. We have a private pod class every month for the wolf pack, and this month rather, on Saturday, is the pod class. Instead of giving a normal live stream just for the wolf pack like I normally do, I'm going to stream one of the modules from the Dread course. So, and it's going to be the one there's a module in there where I break down a couple of scenes from a really famous James Bond movie, because it really illustrates passive dread very well. And it's also, there's like 3 scenes in it, 3 or 4 scenes that are just really fun to watch anyway. But you can watch how Bond is applying passive dread and he's not doing anything wrong. And then you can see the secret agent, like the love interest, is just the eyes. You can see it all in her eyes that it's working, right? And so I'm pointing that out and using that as a reference. That's the one I'm going to be streaming. So if you guys want to check that out, if you're thinking about getting the passive dread course, join the Wolfpack now. Okay, there's a 7-day free trial. You can join now for free. Show up Saturday to watch that be streamed, and then see if you want to take the dread course or not. Okay. The next one on the list here is never say you're looking for the one right away. Never say that. A lot of guys lead with this on the dating circuit too. They'll have this in their dating bio, right? I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for, I'm looking for a steady girlfriend. I'm looking for a long-term relationship. Okay. Women that, even if that's what they're looking for, if you lead with that, it turns them off. It really like subconsciously, they look at that as you're weak and needy and you don't get no pussy. That's the way women, it sort of gets processed in their hindbrain, and they'll swipe left on you. Okay. I put out a tweet yesterday, day before yesterday, some douche on X. And I'm not saying like he's a douche because of what he posted. I'm saying he's a douche because of how he reacted. But he was saying, he posted a post, a very needy post on X about any woman out there that needs a husband that has a good career and a solid truck and makes good money and da-da-da-da-da, like hit me up because I'm looking for a wife and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, like guys pushing for a relationship, it goes back to never say I love you first, right? Guys pushing for a relationship turns women off. It's like a wild bird willfully flying into a cage. Okay. Well, the same thing goes with leading with I'm looking for the one. First of all, the one is a myth. The concept of just one woman that God created just for you, that only happened for Adam. Okay. And even then, if you guys have ever read like the Book of Enoch or whatever, Adam had Lilith first. Okay. God created Lilith for Adam, and Lilith was a boss bitch, and he Adam didn't like her and she didn't like Adam that much. So then God created Eve specifically, a part of his rib, allegedly just for Adam. Okay. Everyone else on the planet, there's not just one for you. Okay. There's 4 billion women on the planet. And even if one woman was 1 in a million, that means there's 4,000 chicks just like her out there. Okay. There's no such thing as the one, right? But if you're pushing for the one or a relationship, it's going to turn women off. What I would put in my dating profile, which I talk about in Everything I Wish I Knew Was When I Was 18. I give you like images, I had like pictures. If you guys get the paperback or hardcover or the Kindle edition, I've got my dating bio in there, and I've got my dating profile pictures. So you guys can see what I was working with when I was out dating. But in my bio, I would say, I'm just out here seeing what's available, and I'm looking for the right woman to join me. Is that you? Okay. Basically, I'm opened up to seeing multiple women until I find the right woman to join me. Okay. Is that you? And that makes women qualify to you. It's sort of a psychological trick to get women to start thinking about if they're the woman that's going to join my lifestyle. Okay. Try that kind of shit out on the dating circuit, but don't be pushing for the one, and keep things open. And when women ask, like, what are you looking for out here? Right. Just be like, well, I don't know, but I'll know it when I find it. Okay. You got to be sort of somewhat vague with these chicks and let their hamster wheel work so that they think that they're in competition with these other chicks, right? Because that competition anxiety and that pre-selection is everything. It's everything. And this is why I even created the dread course, because a lot of guys, they stop doing that kind of attractive stuff that got women in the beginning. Okay. You got to even do that when you're in a long-term relationship. This is what passive dread's all about. It's never letting a woman get too comfortable and letting her realize that you have options even when you're in an exclusive relationship. Okay. Because otherwise women stop investing. If they don't feel like there's any competition, they stop investing. And then the sex dries up and they think that I've already got them, I don't have to do anything anymore. And this is why you end up in a dead bedroom situation. Okay. So do this on the dating circuit and keep that going in your relationships, and you're going to have a much better time. All right. Much better time. All right, guys, follow me on social media, would you? Where is that here? Follow me on, there it is. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. Okay. All right. The next one I have here is never compliment her on her looks. Never tell her how beautiful she is. Okay. One, this is women know this is a bribe for sex. Because most nice guys out there are fawning over girls. We call these guys simps, right? And they're like, oh, you're so gorgeous, so beautiful. Okay. A really attractive girl, even a moderately attractive girl, they're told all the time. They've been told their whole life how beautiful they are. They fucking know. Okay. They fucking know. You sound like 97% of the other guys out there. And so it's meaningless to these hot women. They know they're hot. And if you tell them how hot they are, they're like, yeah, I know. I fucking know. Right. So you're not standing out. You sound just like every other guy out there. Even though you think you're being a fucking charming Casanova, you sound like literally every other dude out there. You don't stand out. Okay. So instead, if you feel like you have to compliment her, one, I recommend to guys, don't just shower women with compliments. Okay. Like give her an earned compliment. Okay. If she says something very smart, be like, wow, that's a pretty genius way of looking at things. Right. Women actually get more value out of that because they are more often judged by their beauty and almost never by their accomplishments or their intelligence or anything like that. So if you compliment them on an earned compliment, it goes much further. Okay. If you want to compliment them at all, but don't just feel like you have to compliment them in order to butter them up. Okay. Make them earn that shit. This sort of also goes to another commandment of Poon by Royce. Okay. Commandment number 10 is ignore her beauty. Okay. Royce says the man who trains his mind to subdue the reward centers of his brain when reflecting upon a beautiful female face will magically transform his interactions with women. His apprehension and self-consciousness will melt away, paving the path for more honest and self-possessed interactions with the objects of his desire. This is one reason why the greatest Lotharios drown in more love than they can handle. Through positive experiences with so many beautiful women, they lose their awe of beauty and in turn, their powerlessness under its spell. Okay. So if you train yourself to stop complimenting women on their beauty and you're only looking for things that earn actual compliments, you stop getting intimidated by these chicks. A lot of guys, they can go talk to ugly chicks, right? But when they go talk to a hot chick, like they step on their own dick and like their tongue gets all fat and they can't form words. And it's because they're so mesmerized with this girl's beauty that they don't know how to act around her. Okay. But if you let go of a woman's beauty, you treat all women the same. Women's beauty has no power on you now. Okay. And a part of that is to stop complimenting women on their looks. Okay. They already know they're hot. Powerlessness under a spell. It will help you acquire the right frame of mind to stop using the words hot, cute, gorgeous, or beautiful to describe girls who turn you on. Instead, say to yourself, she's interesting, or she might be worth getting to know. Never compliment a girl on her looks, especially not a girl you aren't fucking. Okay. If a girl isn't fucking you, don't compliment her on how hot she is. Okay. Only until she's shown that investment has she earned a compliment about how hot she is? All right. Turn off that part of your brain that wants to put them on pedestals. Further advanced training to reach this state of unwanted or unawed Zen transcendence is to sleep with many, many attractive women. Try to avoid sleeping with a lot of ugly women if you don't want to regress. Soon, a Jedi lover will you be. All right. Royce is a goddamn genius. He's a goddamn genius. Okay. CW says those scenes were fire. Oh, you're talking about the James Bond scenes in the course? Yeah. Yeah. CW took the course, guys. Alex says there's a Judeo legend about Lilith. So supposedly God created Lilith with Adam, and she was not happy with being under Adam, so she rebelled and is considered an idol for feminism. Yeah. Yeah. If you guys ever watched the TV series True Blood, I was into that series when it first came out. It was actually a pretty good series. Lilith was the first vampire. She was the first female vampire in that series because she turned against God. God created her to be subservient to Adam, and because she decided she didn't want to be with Adam, like God turned her into a vampire. It's kind of a funny story. I don't think that's true, but you know what I mean. All those things are. All those biblical stories are kind of fun to know. Even if you're not a religious guy, just understanding like biblical stories and Judeo, Abrahamic faith stories, they're just fun stories to know. CW says they're all mid. That's right. Right. If you look at women like they're all mid, then you won't be putting women on pedestals. And the funny thing is if you're not putting women on pedestals, they like you better. Because 97% of the other simps out there are putting them on pedestals, and they don't want to be on pedestals, right? All right. So that was never compliment her on her beauty. By the way, guys, if you ever want to work with me one-on-one, I do have coaching available. If you go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com, you can book a call with me. All right. The last one I have here, we actually did pretty good filling up the time with these. The last one I have here is never tell her she's too good for you. Never tell a woman she's too good for you. How many guys out there have you heard say, I'm punching up, right? Or my wife, I'm not on my wife's level or whatever. I'm definitely punching outside my weight class or any kind of thing like that, where they're putting their woman on a pedestal and they're basically saying, I'm not good enough to be with this woman. How many times have you heard that? How many times have you said that? Okay. Because I used to be that guy. I used to say that all the time, thinking I'm complimenting my wife on how gorgeous she is and putting her on a pedestal because, we're all trained to, you got to put women on pedestals, right? Well, the thing is, when you tell a woman that she's too good for you and you put her up on a pedestal, she has no choice but to look down on you. Okay. And when a woman's looking down on you, she stops respecting you, because she thinks she's better than you. Okay. And women's hypergamous nature is they're always looking for a guy that's above them in some way. So if you put her above you, now she's like, oh, this guy, why am I with this loser? I need to find someone up here. And now she's going to look for her next best option. That's hypergamy. Okay. So in order to use hypergamy to your advantage, don't put her up on this fucking pedestal. Okay. Don't do that. Don't ever say that you're too good for her, right? Know that you are more than good for her. In fact, you're punching down probably. Have that mentality that you're punching down, right? But if like I said, if you put her up here, she's going to see you as a loser eventually, and she's going to lose attraction for you. She's going to stop having sex. The betaization process is going to go into effect. Okay. And you're not using hypergamy to your advantage. So if you understand how women operate, just be like, oh, you have to almost be a little bit arrogant. This is why women like dark triad traits, right? Because a narcissist thinks he's better than everybody. This is why women are drawn to narcissists. This is why every girl's ex-boyfriend's a fucking narcissist, right? Because that's what they're drawn to, because that guy has so much irrational self-confidence that he thinks he's better than everybody. And she's like, oh, I like this guy. I like this guy. He's above me in some way, right? I've got it. I've got a list of book ideas. I'm going to be writing a book here. Probably not for a couple of years. I got a lot of books on my list to write, and but I'm going to do one on dark triad maxing, right? Like using those dark triad traits to your advantage and really developing that narcissism. But still, never ever tell a woman that she's too good for you, okay? Because if you start telling her that enough, she's going to start believing it, and then she's going to look for a better option. All right, that's really what it comes down to. All right, that's the 10, guys. That's the 10 things that you should never tell a woman on dating. I hope you guys found that helpful. What are the guys saying in the chat now? Let's see here. Meet the wall, bish. They can always improve. Yeah, right. She's gorgeous, but there's always room for improvement. Right. This is why negs come in so handy, and negs work so well in the pickup scene. If you guys don't know what a neg is, it's basically like a backhanded compliment or just a subtle, playful insult to a woman. It knocks her down a peg. And this is like a lot of the pickup artists would use negs on very beautiful women because they were used to guys fawning all over them. But you walk up unimpressed by her beauty and actually knock her down a peg. Now she's going to start qualifying to you. I'm teaching my son this stuff because he's got this young girl, this freshman that he's dating. My son's a junior, and he's dating this really cute freshman girl. And my son's like, he gets text messages and he goes, "Dad, what do I say?" Because he knows what I do for a living, right? And I go, oh, tell her. What was it that she said the other day? It was something about how she apologized to him that she wasn't getting back to him right away because she was so focused on schoolwork and getting her homework done and all this kind of stuff. And he goes, "What do I say to this?" And I go, "Oh, just say, oh, I didn't realize you were such a nerd," and put a little nerd emoji after it, so she knows that you're joking, you're playing around, And so he does, and she immediately starts qualifying herself to him. It was funny as hell, and my son's just blown away by this stuff and how much it works. The other day, she was she kept really, like, they had plans to get together, and she was I don't know, communicating in a way that was really confusing my son, right? This is where guys get mixed messages. It was really confusing him. And he's like, "What do I say to this?" Because she's like sitting there going, I really don't want to be any trouble and da 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 da. And I don't want you to have to do whatever. I can't remember. And I go, "Why don't you give her a takeaway? Just say, hey, it sounds like you're really bothered about this. So why don't we just do this some other time?" Right? Take the offer off the table. Because if a girl really wants to see you and she's acting this way, if you take the offer off the table, they'll make it known. They'll be like, no, I'll fix everything to be with you, right? And that's exactly what she did. And my son's like, "Dad, how do you know?" And I'm like, like once you see the code in the matrix, you can't unsee it. Like it works. All the stuff works with like super accuracy. You can really point it out. We did this in the wolf pack the other day. One of the brothers, his girlfriend was like, they had plans, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm not, no dinner tonight because da 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 da." I can't remember what. And he was like, "What the hell? Like, we had these plans, and she did this, and now she's doing this or whatever. Should I still go over to her house?" And I go, "Why don't you give her the takeaway? Just say, you know what? It sounds like you got a lot on your plate right now. Why don't we just do it some other time?" And so he did that, and immediately she replies back. She goes, "You know what? No, I will. I'll fix dinner. Don't worry about it. I'll go get this stuff. Please come over." And he was like, "Thanks, guys." It's like, yeah, this stuff works. All right. What else do we have here? Religious blue pill. Let's see. CW says, if you say she's too good for you, your foot's going to be hurting from the hole you put it in. I used to have major issues being a simp, and at times I still find myself battling some of that nature in my interactions with women. Yeah, we all do. We're raised to do that. It just takes consistent effort until you've developed new habits. That's really what it comes down to, right? Developing new paradigms, right? You gotta rewire what's in your subconscious so that it just comes out naturally, right? All right, guys, that's all I got. Tune into the podcast Friday for Frame Friday. We're going to talk about why you shouldn't talk to people about your problems. It comes down to self-talk and what you're programming subconsciously. And what I have to say will actually blow your mind. So do tune into that. And if you guys haven't already, do like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And hopefully we see you on the live stream on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.